Hi, everyone. Welcome to another EChat. My name is Mary Cullinane, and I am the chairperson of the ACSD board. Thank you in advance for taking the time to listen to another EChat, which we've developed to help the community have access to information regarding the facilities master plan. Today, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to chat with Caitlin Steele. This EChat looks a little bit different. We're doing it via Zoom to make sure that we're helping keep everybody safe in these very unprecedented times. So Caitlin, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Thrilled. Caitlin, you've been an amazing support of the board in helping us think through and understand the educational foundation upon which all of our work is built. And as we have gone through this process and as we've gone through porch conversations and the different ways that we communicate with the community, one of the things that I think has been something that the community has been concerned about is that during this process we've been talking, it seems a lot like we've been talking about facilities, and they're wondering why haven't we been talking more about education. And to your point, as you have reminded us so often, education is the work that you do every day. But this work and how we're thinking about the facilities master plan, the reasons why we're having these debates, the effects of consolidation, the challenges that our classroom teachers are facing, the resources that we need to ensure that we have access to, all of that work is now being kind of accentuated and highlighted as a result of these facilities master plan and process. So folks are wondering, why aren't we hearing about that more? Could you talk about, so I want to talk a little bit about the journey, and I'm interested from your perspective to understand what have been some of those key milestones of this journey to help us get to where we are today.
Great. So yes, as you said, education is my work every day, and it's the work of most people in ACSD every day. We've got people who work behind the scenes, almost literally, keeping the wheels on the bus, keeping everything moving, but the majority of people who work in this district are professional educators. And they've been on a learning journey for, well, as long as I've been here. I stepped in at a really interesting time. I arrived in the summer of 2016. ACSU had just wrapped up their unification work, and they were in their final year through 2016-17 as a supervisory union. It was after my first year here that we legally became a school district, which was really the start of big work coming together with a common vision and a common sense of educational direction. I also arrived as the district educator teams were wrapping up their inquiry into the international baccalaureate programs. And so my first task was to synthesize the research that these educator teams had done into a feasibility report to say if IB would be the goal, becoming a unified international baccalaureate district would be the goal, and this is where we are now, what's the gap from point A to point B, and how feasible would that journey be? So it was my first fall here that the ACSD Unified Board voted to go international baccalaureate across 9 schools concurrently. And we started on that work. It was just last year, I can't believe it was just last year that our diploma program was authorized in the fall, and in the spring our middle years program was authorized across the middle school and high school. And then last spring, it was the first week in April, we were supposed to do our authorization visits for the 7 elementary schools to become primary year program approved. Those got canceled because of COVID, and it was June that we conducted them virtually. So our teachers really worked hard, and our principals really worked hard to bring that developmental process to a point of closure to have our verification visit. And it was the first week of school this year that we received notification that all 7 elementary schools were approved for authorization. So as we wrap up the final paperwork, we are now becoming, 4 years later, a district of IB World Schools. And that has been a journey in and of itself. Coming together, especially at the elementary level, coming together across 7 schools to collaborate on a common curriculum that's really rooted in central ideas, concept-based learning, inquiry, deep inquiry, and transdisciplinary learning. has been powerful. And we've very intentionally developed some strong collaborative practices. It's a work in progress, but it's been powerful work about coming together with a common vision. Along the way, the Addison Central School District also participated in the district management group's study on better supporting diverse learners. And we have powerful findings about how to do that well, how to not only strengthen our curriculum for all students, but really strengthen our instruction and our supports for the variety of different strengths and struggles that our students experience. And I think that the next big work, and Vicki has talked about it a lot from her perspective as the Director of Student Services, our really big work is figuring out how to strengthen our programs of instruction on this journey so that our vision of IB for all is something we can really live into. And that brings us to where we are now, really looking at the systems that we have and how we can use them to better serve all of our students.
And so when we talk about the master plan, it was really that mission of finding out how we can better serve all students from an educational perspective, that we've had to then look at every lever we have access to, and clearly the how our kids come together and class configurations and allocation of resources and all of those things have a direct impact on how we serve those kids. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's been an amazing integration of these two areas of thought that are so interdependent. So it's hard to separate the two, really. And we've really appreciated your support in that process. As the district thinks through these things, and as the district works towards understanding how do we better serve all students, who are involved in those conversations?
Right. We all are to some extent. As an IB district, we've really embraced their leadership model, which has shared pedagogical leadership between the principal and the IB coordinators, so that really, what does it look like to run a school and what does it look like to build a curriculum? That work happens together. And our IB curriculum isn't written behind closed doors by leaders. It's leaders facilitating teachers across the district who know their students and know their school communities to come to agreements about what will be common across all of these schools in terms of the educational experience we offer to students, and where will we personalize both for the school itself and for the students who come through our class, which are not the same every year. Right. So that really, that deep collaboration is both a unified work that happens at the district level, and it's also very much rooted in the schools. So that work has been, that's an interesting tension and not an easy thing to build, a curriculum that is common and also place-based and unique. And we're working on that skill set. And then, in terms of how do we support all learners to access that curriculum, then you bring in far more diverse staffing, right? So we bring our special educators into the conversations. We bring our interventionists into the conversations. We bring our student support team into those conversations about how do we really do this well. And those are the systems that we're looking at really strengthening at this point. Those systems of collaboration to design to the edges, to design to make sure that our curriculum supports all learners to access and allows all learners to light up in their own unique ways. So that's not work that will be finished quickly. That's long, challenging work.
And I can imagine that as we continue to work our way through this facilities master plan and what that looks like from a footprint perspective, that work even becomes more accentuated and more important as these learning communities start to look different and start to be reborn in a different construct almost. Mm-hmm. And we'll be looking forward to, as a board, I think that thinking and how do we create these new learning communities so that it doesn't feel like, okay, this is just a school with some new kids coming to it. Mm-hmm. And so, I think what the district, at least from my perspective, has demonstrated is that there is careful and intentional thought, specifically around the concept of community and how do we ensure its strength and foster it. One of the presentations that you had given the board that I found to be very helpful was when you spoke about why is this going to be better from your perspective. You know, this is not easy. This is at the heart of so many folks who live in communities, who have faith and love of their community schools. And to say that that experience now needs to be different is a very big ask of our community. And so could you talk a little bit from your perspective about why you think this is going to be better?
We face some significant challenges based on sort of the distribution of our students, and especially the distribution of our staffing. So when we talk about a common curriculum that's negotiated by teachers at each grade level, that's challenging enough work when you've got all third grade teachers in one room doing this work together. But what if one of them is teaching grade 2, 3, another is teaching grade 3, 4, and this year they're teaching the 4th grade curriculum. So actually they're collaborating with the 4th grade teachers. And so you know, a 2-3 classroom in one school when we have such tiny classes might be paired differently next year. So it's always sort of teachers needing to be real generalists, to be able to teach to a wide range of students, which is important, but you know, to teach multiple grade levels of math in a single classroom. We spend a lot of, our teachers spend a lot of time and energy thinking about how best to tailor this curriculum that is written for a particular developmental level to teach this broader range. So that's challenging, and it's always moving because very small schools are pretty dynamic in terms of a bubble that might come through or a very small class. So that challenge would be reduced with bigger, more stable schools. Another challenge we have is that our arts and movement, PE, and Spanish teachers, in order to have all of those programs in all of our schools, they're very, very part-time positions. And so we have these teachers who work in sometimes as many as 4 schools. And they spend a lot of time in transition. And it's hard when you're spread across 4 school buildings to be deeply integrated in the staff community of any one of those buildings. You can't really attend to all 4 faculty meetings, so you miss parts of conversations here and there. So besides having teachers be able to focus on a grade level and have a little less variability in learning, though there will still be quite a lot in any one grade level, to have bigger schools would allow us to have more full-time positions so that the art teacher can be fully participating in the professional community at the school and really working on integrating art into the classroom and content into art, really strengthening our ability to do transdisciplinary learning. The other thing it would let us do is have fewer classroom teachers who are essentially generalists, teaching very small classes, and just a few more highly skilled specialists. So highly skilled specialists, especially in foundational reading, which we know is a critical skill, and also in math. And specialists both, I mean, the vision would be to have specialists both who work with those students who need additional intervention, but other specialists who work directly with teachers, helping them to design their curriculum, design their instruction to teach to the edges. Again, so we're supporting students who struggle, and so we're continuing to challenge those who need more. So that more intentional staffing design would be possible with a different scale of education.
That's great. Thank you for that summary. I think the more that we can do to paint a picture of what this can look like, you know, I think benefits all. It's so hard to envision something that, you know, there's not clarity around just yet, and that's just the stage that we're in. And so I think that gives people, and understandably so, a lot of concern and angst in the process. And so the more that we can do to put language to that and paint those pictures, I think serves our community very well. Well, I want to be respectful of time, and I want to thank you very, very much for taking the time to share your thoughts with us. And as always, on behalf of the board, thank you for all that you're doing. We truly, truly appreciate the tremendous amount of work that is going into educating our kids today. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mary. Bye.